Hello and welcome back to the 77% Street Debate. My name is Edith Kimani and this week we are back in Kenya's capital of Nairobi. But we're here to ask, are protests the only way for Kenyans to get their voices heard? And what next for the young people of this movement? Who better to answer that question than the actual members of the movement? Shakira, let's start with you because you stood up to a police officer and you said, "You're not taking me anywhere, I'm standing up for my rights." Why were you so angry that day?
That was the second day of the protests, and on the first day I had been arrested. I wouldn't even use the term arrested because I was ambushed by plainclothes officers and they threw me into a vehicle, they harassed me, they beat me and they took me to Central Police, and we were detained among other protesters until 8 p.m. So I didn't understand why the people's demands and had to be met with such brutality. So I was like, if this moment ever happens to me again, I have to be able to speak up for myself. And to be honest, I was scared, but my anger and frustration superseded my fear at that point.
All right, so Shakira's anger superseding her fear. Mohammed, you are a journalist, a communicator, but very much also involved in these protests. So I did ask the question, what sparked the protest? Because, I mean, Kenyans have been known to protest for a while, but not like this, not at this scale.
Kenya has come to the brink of revolution so many times. But
revolution, that's a very strong word.
It is a very strong word. I think we can go back all the way to the 90s when we had the multi-party, when we were fighting for multi-party democracy in this country. 2002, when all of us were at Uhuru Park and saying, "Yote wezekana bila Moi." There's one uniform factor throughout, and that is politicians always come in and hijack the movements and make it about themselves. So what's different this time round, I think the people, they got tired of that.
So then what is the message now? Because at the beginning it was very clear, right? Reject the finance bill. And I want to speak to some people who participated in the protest. Did that involve burning buildings, looting businesses? Because this is also what the young people are being accused of.
Like the first day when Rex got shot, I was in the upper side, I was in CBD. At 4, all of us decided to go home because it's the end of the day, nighttime was coming. The streets were generally not going to be safe. People left, but then the minute you're coming to downtown, you're being told, oh, the people who were here, there were goons, people's businesses were ransacked, people were attacked. Most of the protesters were trying to go home. All of us wanted to go home. We were tired.
Let me bring in Charles Owino, who you might recognize as a former spokesperson for the police. Based on your own assessment and observation, how would you rate the behavior of police towards the protesters in those early days?
There's sometimes a big conflict that police find themselves in because, as you heard the young man talk, most of these issues are political problems between the public and politicians. Police officers come in to enforce laws and regulations of the land. Well, our current constitution is a bit more vibrant, and Article 37 of the constitution provides that you can demonstrate, you can assemble, you can picket, you can present petitions to authorities peaceably and unarmed.
Who do the police respond and serve? Do they consider us first or the politicians?
The police considers the nation, every one of you. Because, for example, she's a businesswoman. If you break into her shop, what happens to her? So from where I sit, I don't want to defend anybody, but what I'm saying is, can we follow the law?
Okay, let me hear from some people here because I'm seeing the hands coming up.
If we're being honest to ourselves, the default position of the police of this country since independence has always been violence. Now, some of the people who came out during these protests, they're kids who are from middle-class families. Police brutality for them, it's things they see on TV or they read on the papers. If you go to these low-income or these neighborhoods, these informal settlements, the Madares, the Kibras, this is their daily reality. Brothers, sons, killed without any due process.
So we have somebody here from the Law Society of Kenya. What does the law say about peaceful protests and were the police on the right? Because we saw images of people holding just the flag and yet they're being sprayed with water cannon.
The unfortunate thing that we have witnessed in this country is the anarchy perpetrated by the state. And I will say this because we saw a court in Malindi issue an order directing that the police officers should not use lethal weapons, they should not use force, they should not use water cannons. And it was clearly directed to the Inspector General of Police to ensure that they provide that command. The following day, there was a protest organized in the various cities, and we could witness the police were in total violation of that order.
I'm going to give Mr. Owino a chance to respond to that, and then I want us to move away from the issue of police, yeah?
When you bar the police from using the tools required for their trade.
You mean live ammunition?
Even live ammunition. Yes, I don't want to lie. I want to be very honest.
Yeah.
Even live ammunition is a tool of trade for the police. We have had cases of terrorism here, people coming with bombs and firearms. So what I'm saying is that when it comes to tear gas, the court trying to stop the police from using tear gas or using baton or even using his gun is misplaced in the sense that it is equivalent to telling the police, stay at the police station, let us protest.
The president has already made some concessions, fired nearly his entire cabinet. He's now reappointed some people, or at least nominated them. How do you feel about that? Do you feel like the president is listening to the demands of the youth?
Honestly, I don't think he is. Because if you see the reshuffle, it's like he just switched positions, you know? It's like this person was here, come, stay here, you go, stay here. Just to show people, it's like he's playing around with people's mind, like I've done something.
So what are the real issues? Let's come back to that.
It's evident that when we say Ruto must go, we don't specifically refer to Ruto, but the entire government that is backing him up. They've been given a chance time and time again, because these are politicians I've heard about since I was a little girl. So I think it's just time it's like deconstructing everything and start afresh from a new foundation.
So what are the solutions?
I'm going to plead with the youth. My children go to school in Nairobi. I work in Nairobi. That means my children will not go to school, I will not go to work, and I am a single mother of 3 children. Kindly, as a human being, I wish, I hope that this protest can take a better route.
So while you support the movement, you don't want loss of business, you don't want loss of life. Okay,
Yes.
understood. Let me hear some more points.
My solution is simple.
Yeah.
The young people, you are the majority. Stop tribalism.
We are not tribalists.
Excuse me. I don't say you are a tribalist. I say we have been practicing tribalism. Your generation should stop. I want to see an election where you are going to elect people based on the policies that they want to sell to you. Because
I
currently,
think that's a fair point. And finally, I'd like to hear from you, Moha. Let's close this with you.
Yes. As civilians, we're going to take our civic duty very seriously from now on. The other day on Twitter, we had 2 different simultaneous Twitter spaces on Wednesday, where one group was teaching people about the bills that are being tabled in Parliament, and the other group was teaching people, it's a group of young lawyers who are teaching people about the Katiba, the Constitution. We're reaching a point where we're going to make life very uncomfortable for politicians, and in a non-violent way.
Okay.
Let me just clarify that.
So we have to wrap there because of the time, but I did ask a question, what next? And I think the answer has been very clear here, that even if it's not on the streets, it's going to be somewhere online or perhaps at a debate like this, right? So I thank you all for participating. I did read somewhere that these protests were not so much anti-government, but pro-good governance. And I think this debate here has clearly illustrated that. Thank you all for watching.